It's a feel-good Friday here on Locked On Vols. We're going to preview that big showdown coming up tomorrow. Tennessee playing host to Bruce Pearl and Auburn. Everything you need to know about that matchup right here on Locked On Vols. Tennessee football player Matthew Butler will join us in segment number 2. And Vol Network veteran Bobby Rader will close out the show. All that and more here on a Friday. Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome into it. Your Friday Locked On Vols here on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Odyssey app, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Also, it is on the YouTube channel. Appreciate your continued support of this YouTube channel. Almost halfway to the goal of 1,000, just a couple away there. So go ahead and search Locked On Vols on YouTube if you'd like to support the show there. Like we said in the cold open, tons and tons to get into. Want to make one more note real quick before we get into basketball talk and on with the show. Tennessee baseball hosting a 3-game set against Iona this weekend at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. Not a good baseball team is Iona. I expect Tennessee to just thrash this team kind of like it has in the midweek games this week. But Tennessee 4-0. A couple midweek games, one of which was actually played and completed on Wednesday. That was against UNC Asheville, 5 home runs. Ben Joyce, the story of the night, hit over 100 miles an hour 10 times in his inning of relief in his appearance. So that was awesome to see. Tennessee won 16-1. Tuesday against Tennessee Tech, the game was not completed. I was actually there. It was called off. It was suspended, rather, with 2 outs in the top of the 5th, with Tennessee leading Tennessee Tech 5-4. So that game will be completed later in the week. But the Volunteers 4-0, looking to make it a quick, clean sweep over Iona this weekend. I will be at the stadium Saturday for sure, maybe tonight, to cover that Tennessee baseball game. So looking forward to that. But nonetheless, got a whole lot to get into. Let's go ahead and start with our Auburn preview. Now, we had Zach Blackerby, a fan favorite. I know you guys love him. He was on the show yesterday to preview and talk a little bit about Auburn. But here's the nuts and bolts. Here's the nitty gritty, okay? So Auburn is 25-3 on the season, 13-2 in SEC play, all right? Tennessee's 17th in the country, 20-7, 11-4. All of Tennessee's 7 losses are all from the Quad 1 ranks. Auburn is 7-3 in Quad 1 games. Auburn has lost 2 of its last 5, but keep in mind, it started the season off 22-1, 10-0 in SEC play, and ascended all the way to the top of the rankings in the AP poll for the first time in school history. Then it lost at Arkansas. We know that's a tough place to play. Of course, Tennessee did not have a good showing at Arkansas last weekend. And then last weekend as well, as Tennessee was about to take on Arkansas, Auburn fell to Florida in a game that every team just has one of those games every year when you're an elite team. Just an inexcusable loss, especially with how Zach kind of paraphrased it. Auburn shot better, played better, and still lost that basketball game. So started 22-1, 10-0 in SEC play. It's lost 2 of its last 5, one to a really good team on the road and one to a bubble team in Florida on the road as well. The other loss that Auburn's had on the season came all the way back in the first couple weeks of the season. It was to UConn, which is a very good basketball team this year, double overtime, 115-109. And all 3 of the losses have come away from Auburn Arena. At home, Auburn is playing fantastic. Its average margin of victory in SEC wins at home is 15.3. On the road, it is 6.2. And, Tennessee obviously plays very, 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 very well at Thompson-Boling Arena, 13-0, a perfect record on at home this season, as the Volunteers look to continue that against its best competition to date. Arguably, of course, Kentucky was very, very, very good as well. You look at where these teams stack up in these big time rankings that we look at each and every preview. According to the net, Tennessee is ranked 9th. Auburn is ranked 11th. And again, the net, weighs in a lot of different factors. That's why it's a lot of times different from the AP poll. And when Tennessee was ranked 23rd and 24th in the AP this year, Tennessee was still up there hovering around a top 10 ranking in the net because Tennessee's strength of schedule and the way it plays offense, the way it plays defense, all that and more. So that's something to pay attention to. Tennessee 9th, Auburn 11th. The KenPom defensive efficiency rating, Tennessee is 4th, back up in the top 5, while Auburn is 8th. Offensive efficiency rating, Tennessee is 33rd, Auburn is 16th. KenPom's strength of schedule, Tennessee is 6th, Auburn is 33rd rather. And Ken Palm's overall team rankings, Tennessee is 11th and Auburn is 8th. So some things to pay attention to while, heading into this preview as we look at Auburn. Obviously, story of the day is, it's Jabari Smith. He's going to be a top 5 NBA draft pick and this upcoming NBA draft. He's averaging 16.2 points per game. That's leading Auburn. That's 8th in the SEC. He's got 6.8 rebounds per game. That is 10th in the SEC. He is a very, very good player. And as Zach mentioned yesterday, it's a guy that really doesn't get into foul trouble an awful lot. Walker Kessler, Tennessee was in the running for him last offseason, formerly of North Carolina, now at Auburn. Well, it's been a great transition. 4.7 blocks per game. That leads the nation. And the other night in a win over Ole Miss, for Auburn, Walker Kessler became the single-season record holder for block shots with still quite a few games to go in this season, especially for Auburn. He's got 131 block shots so far on the season. Wendell Green Jr., transfer this offseason over from Eastern Kentucky. He plays the third most minutes for Auburn, though he comes off the bench. So when we're having that conversation about sixth man of the year, Zakai Ziegler certainly in that conversation. Wendell Green Jr. is as well. He averages 12.5 points per game, 5.4 assists per game. You look at the ESPN Basketball Power Index, and it loves Tennessee in this one. 72.4% chance of victory. That seems like a large, I don't want to say stretch because, of course, I think Tennessee can win this game, but was not expecting that power index to favor Tennessee as much as it does. 72.4% chance of victory for Tennessee compared to 27.6% chance of victory for Auburn. You look at the stats here. Auburn scores 79 points per game. Tennessee scores 73. Auburn gives up 66 points per game. Tennessee gives up 62. Auburn shoots it at a 44% clip from the field. Tennessee at a 43% clip. Auburn rebounds the basketball on an average of 40 times a game. Tennessee 36. So Walker Kessler and Jabari Smith advantage there. Assists per game, 14 for Auburn, 16 for Tennessee. Blocks per game. And again, this stat, you see Tennessee nearly doubling most teams at play. Well, this time Auburn doubles Tennessee in that, again, because of Walker Kessler, averaging 8.3 blocks per game, Tennessee 4.5. Steals per game, 8 for Auburn, 9 for Tennessee. And, of course, after a hiccup last weekend, both of these squads back on track. Auburn took down Ole Miss in the midweek 77-64. Tennessee took down Missouri on the road 80-61. So one of the best matchups this weekend in college basketball, and it's no surprise it's coming with obviously two of the top teams in the SEC, two of the top 4 teams in the SEC, and this should be a great showdown and what will be a really nice weekend of college basketball. A couple of really nice basketball games on the docket for Saturday, and certainly Auburn and Tennessee probably highlight that entire package. So this is a huge game for the Volunteers. Can Tennessee stay undefeated at home? Can Tennessee knock off Auburn? It's widely regarded as that top 4 overall seed, according to Joe Lunardi's latest bracketology. It will likely be a 1 seed. Kentucky could be a 1 seed. Tennessee's already taken down Kentucky at home. Can Tennessee take down Auburn at home? We will have to find out. Tennessee will need to convert from the field. Tennessee will need to play good defense, and he'll have to get something from its bigs, whether it's John Fulkerson, whether it's Uros Plavšić, whether it's Jonas Adu, whether it's Brandon Huntley-Hatfield, whether it's a combination of both of those guys or two of those guys. You need something from those guys offensively, and you've got to body up. You've got to body up Walker Kessler. Got to make it hard for him and get him into foul trouble. So that game will be at 4 o'clock, and really, really looking forward to that here. And we'll break it all down right here on Locked On Vols. Matthew Butler, former Tennessee defensive tackle. It's kind of weird saying former players when they just played last year, but he is getting ready for the NFL Combine, coming off a Shrine Bowl appearance. Lucky to have Matthew Butler here join the show. That is coming up here in segment 2. But before we get into Matthew, March Madness just really a couple weeks away. That means you need to start thinking now about where you're going to be running your brackets this year. Are you going for the usual, or are you looking for the best? We've done our homework, and we're running our brackets with runyourpool.com. Along with the standard brackets, runyourpool.com offers game types like Survivor and Pick'ems, They have options to edit scoring. They offer more intel to make your picks, all the stuff that you can't find at ESPN or CBS. And if you've got a business, Run Your Pool can help take some of that madness magic and play alongside your employees or even your clients or your customers. Plus, they offer a full white glove customer support, custom branding, and one of the easiest 3-minute setups that you're ever going to find. Clearly, we believe in Run Your Pool because, like I said, we're going to run all of our brackets there ourselves. There's no truer test than that. If you want to play against some of us for a shot at a cash prize, join us at runyourpool.com/lockedon. And while you're there, create your own pool with your friends and family. Enter Pure Madness at checkout for $10 off your custom pool. All the rules and details will be made available there. That's runyourpool.com/lockedon for your chance to win a cash prize. We look forward to seeing and beating you there. And Built Bar, guys, it is a great thing. It's a great substitute for some of those unhealthy snacks, specifically those candy bars. Built Bar, they're covered in 100% chocolates, but they're all about protein. 17 grams of protein on average for your normal Built Bar, compared to some of these candy bars you're eating might have 240 calories, but Built Bar is 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, only 4 net carbs. It is the healthy alternative, and it tastes so good. Once again, covered in 100% real chocolate. Tons of selections. You got mint brownie, coconut almond, and new for this month is that white chocolate cookies and cream. They're all delicious, and all the new flavors are coming out all at the same time, okay? If you think a flavor might be good, they're going to make it. It'll be delicious, and it will be good for you. So where can you find all this? It's all at Built.com. Go to Built.com, use that promo code LOCK15, and you're going to get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off. That is at Built.com. I want to welcome onto the show former Tennessee defensive lineman, all of just, about a month and a half ago, Matthew Butler, who's obviously training for the upcoming NFL Combine and the ensuing NFL Draft. Matthew, what's going on, man?
What's up? How you doing?
Yeah, doing well. Appreciate you taking the time. Kind of walk me through what you've been doing, what you've been up to the last, month and a half, outside of, the Tennessee football season.
Yeah, so, after the game in Nashville, basically I just took that weekend, spent some time with my family. My girlfriend's family is from the Nashville area, so our families got to spend some time together. And then basically that Monday, I just hit the ground running. A lot of therapeutic stuff, obviously, because you're coming off the season and preliminary testing and stuff like that. And then since then, I've just been rocking and rolling. Obviously went to Vegas for the Shrine Bowl, and now I'm just getting ready for the Combine. I leave next Wednesday.
All right, so the Shrine Bowl, I mean, you were getting rave reviews from a number of NFL draft experts and, guys that, do this for a living. It sounds like you had a really good week at the Shrine Bowl. Kind of walk me through that experience and how that was for you, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great experience. I played in Shrine Bowl coming out of high school, in Shrine Bowl, Carolinas, so I understand the meaning and importance of the game. But as far as the guys that were there, frankly, I felt like I was better than a lot of guys there, if not all of them. So I just wanted to showcase that every day I was there. With some of these all-star games, like the practice is just as important as the game. A lot of scouts there analyzing your practice habits, how you go about things, one-on-ones and stuff like that. The game is analyzed, but maybe not in the same way because you're playing the game with people that you've never played a game with before. So, I felt like I really dominated that game. And obviously, I've learned a ton at that game, and I can learn from the few mistakes that I did make and just become a better football player. So it was a nice weekend just having football, being introduced to the interviewing process that the NFL goes through, and just meeting some good people along the way too.
Kind of what's your mindset going into next week? Obviously, it's important. You earn the right to be there. It's a big-time job interview, essentially. What's your mindset kind of going into next week?
Just dominated. I've been preparing for a long time, and for the most part, it's all movements and things that I'm familiar with. So, we're just tying it all together on one big day. We're going to come in, bench press, run a 40, do the D-line drills. And then we're going to do vert, broad, 3-cone, and L drills. So it's nothing to think about because I've done it for so long. We do this during conditioning. And then now we just, condition for actual speed on that day during these past couple months of very specific training. And then you just go out there and apply it.
Just two more, man. You only have 1 year with them. This is something we've asked you a ton during the media availabilities, but the Rodney Gardner effect, how much have you improved, your game from, considering this time last year to now?
Yeah. So, I've always been a guy where I'm going to step up my game regardless, but when you have somebody who knows the game so well and knows how to coach, because, you have these guys who know how to coach and maybe they don't have that prowess for the game as the next guy. You have some guys who they're very good on the details and nuances of the game, but they don't know how to put it forth in a coaching manner. He knows how to do that, knows how to get people to tick, and he was able to just coach all of us into, taking steps in our career. I don't want to say he coached us to be our best because everybody, including myself, we're going to be better. When I get to the NFL, whomever drafts me, they're going to draft a player that obviously has played some really good football and obviously is a really good football player, but I'm not even close to my peak and where I'm going to be. I hope that 5, 10, even 15 years from now, I'm still growing as a player so that whatever investment that a team makes in me, they're going to see it years down the line and not just for 1 or 2 years or just during mini camp or just during certain games out of the season. It's going to be a turnaround for myself and hopefully for the team that I get drafted to.
You continue to work and work and work. You've gotten better every single year. Now a draftable football player coming off an all-star game situation, a team leader, a great year, your junior and senior years. But now you're leaving Tennessee, going on. We can't wait to see what's next. But leaving Tennessee, how are the Volunteers? How you're leaving a place that you love, but it seems like with a guy in Josh Heupel that you yourself are very confident in, right?
Yeah, definitely. He took the program under the reins, under the circumstances that, we as a program were in, and he didn't bat an eye. So, that in and of itself speaks to his willingness and his character, his want to regarding us. And there's all these great head coaches that I've played for, all these great men that I've played for, and he's top tier. So I definitely believe in him.
We can't wait to see what's next for you, man. Best of luck next week. I know you're trained. I know you're working hard, and I know you're being a full-time dad as well. So obviously I've taken too much of your time. Let me get you back to the important stuff, and can't wait to see how you produce next week, man.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
That was Matthew Butler. A big thanks to him for joining the show. And his daughter was not a happy camper that I was taking up some of her time with her dad. And I guess I can't blame her, but really appreciate him taking just 5-6 minutes to chat with me outside of his training regiments, and as he prepares for, again, the biggest job interview of his life. We'll come back with Bobby Rader, Vol Network veteran, to talk a little Mickey Dearstone, a little bit of Lady Vols here in just a moment. But, we're talking with Matthew Butler about football, but the football season, it's not happening right now. We're previewing a big Auburn basketball game coming up, big slate of SEC games. Basketball is in full swing, and you don't need to go anywhere else to get all your news, your podcasts, your picks other than BetOnline.net. It is your number one spot for all of your basketball and sports needs. But, yeah, not just football, not just basketball, but it's, boxing, UFC, hockey, Olympic coverage just wrapped up. Odds on where fire coaches might land next. It's got it all, plus reality shows and a whole lot more at betonline.net. Head on over to the website today and use your mobile device as well. Sign up and see all the latest trends and latest action, all that at betonline.net. BetOnline, it is where the game starts. Want to welcome Bobby Rader onto the show. He is a sports talk host in the Tri-Cities at 640 WXSM. Does an awesome job up there with the Morning Monster. And, of course, he's a studio host for both the Vol Network and the Lady Vol Network. Bobby, what's going on, man?
Hey, Cainer, how are you? Good to be with you, buddy.
Yeah, doing well. Appreciate you hanging out. We talked with Mickey yesterday and had a great conversation with him. And I wanted to reach out to you because you've been, with the Vol Network for longer than I've been alive, and I know you've got some awesome memories and some awesome stories about Mickey Dearstone, who's set to retire at the conclusion of this season. Anything you want to share about your pal Mickey?
Well, just so you'll know, Mickey and I have known each other a whole lot longer than you've been alive. We started out actually in radio together in Greenville back in the don't faint, Eric, back in the mid-'70s. How about that?
Okay.
and so we both worked for his father at the time, who he spoke of on your show yesterday about Kenny Dearstone and how important he was to him and how important he was to his career as a broadcast guy. So, yeah, Mickey and I go way back. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you this. We were traveling we were going to do a game together. I wasn't going to be on the air. I was just like 15 at the time, but Mickey was going to do the game, and so we traveled from Greenville. We're headed up to Johnson City, got about halfway there, and the weather is terrible. So Mickey thought, well, we need to call back home and see if they've called off the games. Well, this is mid-'70s, so you have to find a payphone. You've heard of those, right, Eric? You've heard of payphones.
I've seen them in movies.
Yeah. Well, we finally found a payphone, and the game was canceled. So our first opportunity to work a game together went up in flames.
Always remember that, I'm sure. Bobby, you're a guy that's a play-by-play guy as well. You've done, pretty much every different sport at a number of different levels, still doing it to this day. And one of the things I really enjoyed about listening to Mickey over the years is, he just paints such a beautiful picture, and that's why. That line from Moneyball. It's hard. How can you not be romantic about baseball? That's how I feel about radio, right? And play-by-play. Yeah. And just in your words, kind of how do you view Mickey and his ability to just paint such a beautiful picture for the viewers listening at home?
I thought he nailed it yesterday when he was talking to you, and he was on our show yesterday morning and was talking about that as well. And you know this about the score and the clock and all that, but just painting that picture and as though those folks back at home know nothing about where you are. It's interesting because he's told this story as well about a gentleman telling him one time what a great job he did, and oh, by the way, he's blind. And that was painting the picture for that gentleman. The team that I listened to growing up and kind of cut my teeth doing play-by-play was the Cleveland Cavaliers, because it was Clear Channel Radio, and you could hear the Cleveland radio station back in those days, and Joe Tate was the play-by-play voice, and he got hired to do the Cavaliers games because the owner of the Cavaliers was blind, and he liked what he heard from Joe Tate. So that story, that Mickey told is somewhat similar to that story, because he felt like he did a good job of painting the picture, and painting the picture doesn't include all the screaming and all that. Painting the picture is just giving folks where you are on the court and where you are on the field, and filling in the voids as best you can. But when he told that story, I thought, yep, I know that story.
Hey, Bobby, I'm not asking you who do you think is going to be the next voice of the Lady Vols. That's not going to be a conversation that I'll have until at least after the season, I'm sure, as Mickey Dearstone makes his farewell tour. But, what qualities do you think the Vol Network needs to look in terms of a replacement? Because Mickey Dearstone, as we all know, he's been the lead voice since for the past 23 seasons, been a part of the broadcast, him and Kessling and you guys for, 30 years. What should the Vol Network look for in a successor for Mickey Dearstone?
Gosh, I'm not one to give them advice. You need someone who knows the program. I think someone who has been around the program, who knows the program, that knows what Tennessee sports means, and that's a whole lot of people that would be able to do that. But someone who, is a bit of a fan. I don't have a problem with you being a fan if you're the play-by-play voice. I think that gives you a little bit of an option that others might not have. You can be a fan and still not just scream my team on the radio. That's another thing that Mickey has done when he wants to do it that way, and another thing that John Ward did. You knew very well who John was getting paid by, right? You knew who he was getting paid by, but you also knew you were going to get exactly what was happening on the field from him. He was going to see both teams' side of things, and I think that's important as well when you're doing that, is to have someone who can bring you the play-by-play, be honest about it. If you're playing bad, matter of fact, Eric, I did Greenville for years and did Carson Newman for several years. Mm-hmm. And Mickey talks about the biggest compliment he ever got was from the gentleman who was blind. One of the biggest compliments I ever got is that we know if you say it was bad, and if you say it's good. We know we can trust you. So that's what you need, someone, I think, who obviously knows how to do it well and can separate their fandom from the broadcast, because while it is the same, it's also very different in ways.
Yeah, absolutely. John, with Bobby Rader here. He is a part of the Lady Vol Radio Network. The Vol Network is a studio host. You can hear him every single broadcast for football as well as Lady Vols hoops. Also pinch hits for John Wilkerson a lot on the men's coverage too. And, of course, his day job, hosting the Morning Monster up at 640 WXSM in the Tri-Cities. Bobby, last thing, man. You mentioned, an off-the-air, memory that you have with Mickey Dearstone, with him just a couple of broadcasts left here. What's one of your, and I'm putting you on the spot here, but what's one of your favorite on-air memories or just moments, highlights of Mickey Dearstone's time? Because I know there's a lot of times I'll just be driving down the road and he'll be on and those emotions are on his sleeve and he's so truthful, and I'll just start laughing because he's so funny with how truthful he is.
I think knowing the guy and then knowing the play-by-play guy makes it even funnier. And I know people that don't know how the network works, Dave Jeffries is our producer, and Dave and I spend a lot of the game talking to Mickey during the commercial breaks or listening to Mickey during the commercial breaks. So a lot of the things that the normal fan wouldn't hear or wouldn't be privy to, we get to enjoy during the downtime. But I don't know. He's when he says good grief, that wasn't good. That's not a good call. And when he a part of it, you know this, Eric, it's not about doing the play-by-play as far as time and down and distance and all that, but your voice can do a lot of work for you in if you say something a certain way. I guess what I'm trying to say. If you say something a certain way, your voice inflection kind of gives the fan an immediate point to say, uh-oh, because and Mickey's able to do that as well. But and look, I asked him yesterday. I said, Mickey, which official will you miss the least? And he went, oh, I don't know. That's a tough one. But, yeah, I remember that. Here's one for you. And we were doing a game. I'm not even sure. It was a team, I don't know, they were playing Hawaii or playing a team and had some Polynesian players on the roster. Mm-hmm. And I think Mickey finally just got frustrated. And he gave the name, and like all of us had done, we called a player 5 different things during the game and you just get frustrated at some point. He said, well, heck, they're not listening anyway. So he went ahead and did the game. Whatever. No big deal.
Hey, calling baseball in the Appalachian League for a couple of summers, the pain there until you get you see that same team come back to town. You're like, okay, now I get those names right. It takes a little while.
And don't trust. Look, and you knew this. Don't trust the manager, the coach, to tell you the correct name, because I've done that numerous times in that league. Because you would go to the manager, they give you the lineup. Yeah, how do you say this? Okay, and then you'd have an opportunity probably to go out on the field and talk to the players. Yeah, it's this, right? No, that's not how you say that name. Of course, we found that out with Vescovy and others here, that maybe what we initially think it really wasn't after all, right?
Jerry Garantano, that's another one.
Garantano, yeah.
I lied. I got one more for you. At the time of this recording, it's before Lady Vols game on Thursday night, but some tough times here. And of course, Mickey Dearstone going to finish off this the end of the regular season, the conference tournament, and what games Tennessee has in the NCAA tournament. So looking forward to that. But Lady Vols start off hot, but injuries, just devastating losses on the road here lately. What's up with the Lady Vols right now? What do they need to do? And what does Ray Burrell need to do essentially to try to ride the ship here?
Well, McKeon Green, we didn't know. I didn't know, and Mickey now tells us, she was as important as we didn't know she was to this team when she went down with the injury. Now you go without Jordan Horston, and everybody kind of circles the wagons last week, and I know there's nothing about moral victories, but that was a good total game effort against South Carolina. Ray Burrell has been slowly trying to get back to the Ray Burrell before the injury, and it's taken her most of the season to do that. I think Ray will be able to step up here in the next few games and get back to more of the norm. And they're going to need that. Without Jordan Horston inside and them getting down on key a little bit and trying to defend her even tighter than they have been, it's going to take all-out team effort. Maybe that's coach speak, but it's going to take more of that. And look, the game Sunday against LSU, it's going to turn out to be a big game. Tennessee's still going to get in the top 4, but positioning for the tournament and the SEC tournament is important. And I still think Tennessee, when the new NCAA bracket comes out on Monday, the preview bracket comes out on Monday, I still think they'll have a chance to be in the top 16 and host a couple of games. But they need to take care of business, because some of those games that you think are wins haven't necessarily been so. And so you just got to take care of business. I think they will. I think they're headed in the right direction. Injuries are a part of the game. We know that, but I think this team's headed in the right direction.
You can hear him every Lady Vol broadcast on the Lady Vol Radio Network, and you can hear him on the Morning Monster, 640 WXSM in the Tri-Cities. You can download that app and listen online as well. Bobby, appreciate it, man. Thanks so much.
Thanks, buddy. Have a great day.
Big thanks to Bobby Rader for stopping by the show, and be sure to check out Bobby Rader. If you are in the Tri-Cities area, he does an awesome job and doing it for a long time, and not a lot more people are knowledgeable in the world of sports other than Bobby Rader. And, of course, he's a familiar voice on the Vol Radio Network, talking a little Mickey Dearstone and some Lady Vols. All right, that's been a fun Friday show. Can't thank you enough for stopping by and joining us here for all that fun. If you haven't already, please subscribe on YouTube. Search Locked On Vols. Give us a subscription there. And thanks so much for making Locked On Vols your first listen. Hey, as we continue to preview, leading up to tip-off tomorrow afternoon, Tennessee and Auburn, check out Locked On Auburn. Zach Blackerby does a great in-depth analysis and preview of everything Auburn basketball. If you want more on the Auburn Tigers, make Locked On Auburn your second listen heading in to the basketball game, of course, after Locked On Vols each and every day. All right, guys, deep breath. Deep breath. It's going to be hopefully a fun weekend, hopefully a fun Saturday. And it's all about how Tennessee defends its home court. Can it improve to 14-0? Can it stay undefeated? We will find out 4 o'clock on Saturday when Tennessee hosts Auburn. We'll have all the reactions, all the recaps right here on Locked On Vols. Can't wait for it, and can't wait to talk to you guys again maybe Saturday night if Tennessee wins, but if not, Monday for sure, guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody.